Welcome back to the starting lineup, along with myself, Tony Curry. It is the Speaks, Jeff Speegle, ABC 3340. He's the man, the myth, the legend. You like him, along with our legend as well. Welcome into the starting lineup, my friend. Of course, you just have to travel from upstairs, and here you are on the biggest, best show on Saturday mornings, 10:30, 11 o'clock on ABC 3340. Hey, listen, this is a sports show. You're the sports man, so we're just happy to be riding your coattails. Welcome in.
Well, thank you so much. I'm a big fan of yours, Tony. You know, I grew up a big radio guy. I grew up on Kicks 106.
Yes.
Wow. Q104.
Yes.
Rock 99.
You did the I-95 days?
Yeah,
when they were down the south side?
Well, we'll say you look taller than you do on radio. Like a big dude.
Was that old Buford T. Puster? You look bigger on the radio. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I've known you for years, and I've followed you as well. And the fact that we're on your television station has been just a joy and a treat for me to be part of that. So it's super good. I want to ask you, there's so many different ways to go. We have just a few minutes here. NAL, transfer portal, you've been around sports for a long time. I do a show with Mark Ingram, the UAB athletic director, right before we do this show on Saturday mornings. And so it always plants a lot of things in my head. And I can see as an athletic director, he's not getting a lot of sleep. He's got a lot of anxiety issues right now, and all ADs do, because they're trying to make everyone happy. We don't know what the NCAA is doing, although they got a big victory last week when the judge decided not to give the transfer portal thing. But what's your situation? What do you think it's going? What do you think this is going to look like in 10 or 15 years if you look in the Jeff Speegle crystal ball?
Well, I hear from a lot of, Alabama and Auburn fans every week, and they're just, they're distraught over the state of college sports right now. And I told one of them the other day, I said, you know what you need to do? You need to stay off social media. You need to stay away from all the news that happens in the off season, because it's crazy with the portal and everything. And then you know what? Plug back in September 5th. Yeah. Look at your roster, see who you're going to cheer for. It's kind of like, we were playing Little League Baseball. Yeah, the rosters weren't the same every year. True. They flipped every year. You didn't have the same teammate every year. So that's basically, the way it is now. And your head is going to explode if you try to just monopolize your time with it.
It's funny how the influx of money in anything can be a good thing. And in sports, not necessarily. I remember NASCAR. I always remember the NASCAR by what kind of car they were driving. Not so much Ford or Chevy, but I wanted to know who was on the hood of the car. And when they started switching things, switching teams, switching owners and stuff, I had a hard time keeping track of it. And I think that's kind of where I fell off NASCAR a little bit. I'm not silly enough to think that baseball players or NFL players are going to be playing for the same teams their entire lives anymore, although I love that loyal standpoint. Talk about the loyalty and where this is, because now we got guys wanting 8 years of eligibility, but the coaches don't seem to be caring a whole lot with like a Lane Kiffin going to a 7th program in 18 years.
Well, if you're a fan, you have to accept the fact that you're going to be loyal to the brand, but the athlete is not. The athlete is going to go where the opportunities are. The guys like Ty Simpson are different. That's a different cat right there. Because he grew up, he wanted to play for Alabama, and he played for Alabama. He was tempted by Tennessee and Miami. They threw all that money at him to keep him from going to the NFL draft. And he said, no, man, I'm Bama all the way. And I couldn't think about playing for another school. But you have to accept the fact that a lot of guys aren't like that. You're going to have situations like in the offseason where the running back from North Carolina State, committed to Alabama, enrolled in classes, and then what do you know? He's going to Texas. That's going to happen every year. Yeah, and it's going to happen multiple times every year.
And the good thing is, if you're one of those big schools in an SEC or a Big Ten, chances are you will have some pockets to pay this play. Bediako situation, real quick. What's your thoughts on how that went down? He played 5 games. I think they went 3-2 with him. I don't think the committee is going to look at that and vacate those wins by any stretch. But what were your thoughts on him playing for Alabama and then being booed back out again?
Well, a lot of coaches had an issue with it. There are a lot of pro basketball players playing college right now. Virginia's got one. Auburn's got one. A bunch of people have them, right? The difference is that they had not played college basketball before. They went into the pros or whatever. So the Bediako situation was unique. I didn't think he had a chance to win that. I thought the NCAA was going to win that all the way. And so, but the NCAA, is getting sued left and right. Trinidad Chambliss and all that. So that's not going to end either. So the NCAA is going to have to fight this, an eligibility thing, like many, many, many times.
And let's remember, the NCAA was created by whom? by the schools themselves. Okay, the schools themselves created the NCAA, and now there seems to be some type of infighting going on, and of course, lawsuits are going to be something that we're going to see every week.
And Tony, I'll tell you what this has done. What the transfer portal and what NIL has done is that it's increased the demand on these athletes to perform.
Sure.
That's why people were in an outrage when Alabama lost 38-3 to Indiana. It's like, I'm paying for this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm paying for that.
Yeah.
And it used to be you could go, oh, come on, they're kids. They're not kids anymore.
No. It used to be the PSL and what you're going to spend at the Victory Lounge or whatever. Now it goes much deeper than that for sure. Jeff Speegle, ABC 3340, real quick. We got 2 minutes. March Madness, Alabama right now, I think bracketology about a 4 seed.
Like
They're playing
4.
some pretty good with the Bidiaco thing situation. I don't think that hurt them a whole lot. Maybe got a couple players off the bench saying, listen, I want my spot back. I'm taking it. And it looks like they're playing pretty well right now. Start with Alabama.
Did you see that Arkansas game?
I did.
Holy smokes. 117-115, double overtime. Alabama is so skilled offensively. They got so many guys that can score the basketball. The problem for Alabama is going to be defensively. Defensively in the NCAA tournament, you got to bring it night in and night out. They may be able to get past the first round by out shooting people, but eventually they're going to have to defend. And while Darius Acuff Jr. is an incredible player, giving up 49 points to anybody is not acceptable.
No doubt.
And so that's what you got to look at with Alabama down the road.
The Steve Pearl experience, your thoughts on that so far, and how important is it that he makes the big dance?
Struggling right now. I mean, they've lost 5 games in a row. They've got Kentucky coming to town. They can right the ship, tonight if they get a big win over the Wildcats. But if they don't make the NCAA tournament, the heat is really on Steven. He's not going to get fired this year, but I would say he gets one more year to try to get things done, whether he's Bruce Pearl's son or not. Being Bruce Pearl's son increases the pressure on him, I think, to get this thing done. Jekyll high for the UAB Blazers, too. They have won 7 games on the road. I love Andy Kennedy. He's got 12 new guys. I think they only brought back 2 minutes from last year's team. They got a huge monster ball game going on tomorrow against Memphis. What's your thoughts on the UAB Blazers? First of all, making their own AAC conference tournament right here in town. Yeah, and playing at Bartow may not be great for them since they can't win at home. But they've been able to get it done on the road. And Chance Westry, was terrific in that game at Temple, scored 24 points. He's from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, so he had a lot of family and friends in town, and he just showed out scoring 24 points. The transfer from Auburn, the transfer from Syracuse, right? You got to say that every time. But he was terrific. Speaks, I love you. Let's go down and grab a beer down at Jitterbugs, Senior Frog, the Yellow Rose, Hoppers, Louis. Dave's. I could go on. Oh, I know. We used to have a good time. And we'll have a good time again. Thank you much, Brett. Appreciate you. Man. Appreciate you. Spigs right here in the starting lineup.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino turns dreams into reality. Like Roger M., who just won over $51,000. And Rebecca, celebrating a life-changing jackpot of $160,000. You could be the next to dance the Icky Shuffle with a big win. Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too! Don't miss your chance to be our next big winner at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Welcome to the Legend Cave. This week we are in the Fanatical Podcast Studio. Me and the great Kip Keefer. And today in the Fanatical Studio, we are going to address the question, the state of the Alabama football program. Kip, some people says it's slipping. I say it's slipping. We've had players like Marquise Mays come out and question the coach's ability to recruit, to not be a soft team. Where do you see the state of the Alabama football program?
Well, you know, Legend, it's basic fundamentals. No matter how crazy the game's gotten with all the transfer portals and the NIL and trying to make it a pro league and all the things we talk about and that are concerning everybody, football still at the end of the day is a very basic game. It's a game that's decided in the trenches. Your physicality, your guys that who moves the other team off the ball, who controls the line of scrimmage is still the key to winning football games. And for the first 2 years of the DeBoer administration, Alabama's offensive line has not gotten the job done. Milroe was running for his life 2 years ago. This past year, they mustered no rushing attack whatsoever. And if you watched on the line of scrimmage, you pointed it out really well. You've got guys look like sumo wrestlers that can't even move their feet. They don't move the defensive line at all. They don't even have the confidence calling plays to run a quarterback sneak on a situation you only need a foot. That's got to be addressed for Alabama to get back on track.
I see this program going backwards, but I also see a hope. There's one hope that I see, Alabama fan base, one hope, and that is that Keon Russell is all that and a bag of chips.
Yep.
But even if he's all that and a bag of chips and a Pepsi-Cola, you still have to have an offensive line to block for him. Did Alabama do enough in the portal to block for a quarterback and not send him to the ER this year, Kim?
Well, they added some pieces and not really top-level marquee guys per se, but that's what Indiana did last year. They got a bunch of guys that had the experience and played at the major level, and they just got fortunate enough because offensive line, you know better than anybody. It's not the individuals, it's how they mesh as a unit. That is the one group on your team that has got to be in total coordination with each other, and that's going to be the key. Can the new offensive line coach, Damian Clem, who is not a real household name, can he mesh that group to be a solid and productive unit?
It seems like the board gets coaches all over the place. I've heard people say this is a great staff. I don't know if this is a great staff. Where would you rank this staff among the great staffs of Alabama's history?
Saban was able to move in some pieces at times and had to kind of mix and match. So, I think the resumes of most of the staff is good. I think Kane Womack has done a pretty good job with the defense. I know, there's some tweaks that I would make. But overall, I think they've got the right guys. I don't think Ryan Grubb is as bad as he was made to look last year. But I don't care if you're an offensive coordinator or a quarterback, you're not going to be effective if you can't run the football.
The state of the program, ladies and gentlemen, is in disarray, and it has to be corrected. Greg Byrne, 2 or 3 more years without a championship will not be accepted in the Alabama Crimson Tide. Hey, remember it's just a game. Don't be like the Fanaticals. Sports insane.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again for another edition of the Vegas Heaters as part of the starting lineup. I am a longtime sports bettor, sports betting writer, along with sports editor for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly. Still kind of a slow time on the sports betting calendar, and therefore the sports betting scene here in Las Vegas. Now, of course, the Winter Olympics still going on, about to wrap up, and some people really dive into the Olympics. There are some places where you can get some decent bets. There are opportunities there. It's just something I've never really totally been motivated to do, especially in the Winter Olympics where I don't understand a whole lot of the sports. I know if you read my column, I did suggest USA to win the gold medal in men's hockey, and I guess we'll get there later this weekend. I'm actually recording before the semifinal game, so hopefully the Americans even got there. I know them and Canada survive a scare in the quarterfinals, so I guess I will be rooting for USA, but otherwise, waiting for the Olympics to get over, the NHL to get back in section, waiting for the NBA now to kind of get full back in swing after the All-Star game, and of course, March Madness coming soon. First of all, in college basketball today, a lot of times it's hard to talk about these Saturday games. I know sometimes I try to project forward because lines aren't typically up a long time ahead, but that is all swept away today. I can never remember this before. This is midweek that I'm talking to you right now when I'm recording this segment, and there are already 2 lines that are pretty widely available with Michigan at Duke and Arizona at Houston. My initial reaction, again, I don't have full information. You guys are seeing better lines right now than when I'm recording this, but I'm kind of leaning towards both home teams. Michigan has been unbelievable, best team in the nation, but I still think Duke is the most talented team in the nation. Michigan went to Purdue, absolutely pounded them on Tuesday night. Now, I bet Purdue +3 when I got there, and that game obviously had no chance, but now you can find Duke at +3, at least here on the opening line. I think Duke is a step above Purdue. I think Duke is a step above absolutely everybody except for Michigan. You give me 3 with them at Cameron, I'm going to have to take it. So I'm going to go Duke +3 in that Big Ten ACC showdown. And the other game, I'm leaning towards Houston too, laying the points. I see it's 4.5 right now as I record. I'll lay the 4 with Houston. Koa Pete, of course, still hurt. I think that is a big deal for Arizona. You saw that kind of inhibit their chances of ultimately pulling out the game against Texas Tech at home, already coming off a loss to Kansas. And then even against BYU, I was surprised they closed an 11-point favorite. Didn't end up covering the number. I do think that is big. Houston loses at Iowa State earlier this week. I think that's going to make them way more locked in. I still don't necessarily think they were the worst team in that game. Blew a late 10-point lead, but I think Houston will be a little locked in here. No Koa Pete's big to me, but hey, I picked against Arizona all year in this segment. It hasn't served me too well for the most part. I was on Kansas at least in that game, but I do lean towards Houston -4 and Duke +3 in the 2 mega showdown college basketball games today. Let's get to the other 2 sports I mentioned. I guess we started off with a loss in NASCAR here with the Daytona 500 last week. Now, I don't really have time to dive into the matchups at the time I'm recording this, so I just gave some outrights. Our outrights didn't come through. Had some chances there at the end, but of course it was chaos. We knew it was going to be chaos. Now we go from Daytona to Atlanta. A few more outright thoughts. I kind of put a challenge out to Chevrolet. I said I had to see them be as good as people are hyping them up to be for me to really jump on. If they don't end up winning the Daytona 500, of course, congratulations to Tyler Reddick, a Toyota driver, 23, XI Racing, who gets it done. But I do think Chevrolet was the dominant manufacturer there, and I do expect that to carry over at Atlanta, which is kind of a pseudo super speedway since the restructuring a few years ago. It's played a little bit more to form. More guys in the lower odds range have won since the course changed, 2 or 3 years ago now. So I am looking more at the top of the board, but I am looking at Chevrolet. If you just want to make it be easy and get all those Chevy drivers, of course, more Chevy drivers than any other manufacturer, you can get Chevrolet as high as +135 to be the winning manufacturer. I like that if you just want to go easy and do that. But what fun is that without trying to hit an outright? So I really think Hendrick Motorsports is going to be the team to beat. And I bet 2 Hendrick Motorsports guys here earlier in the week as far as who I like in Atlanta. That would be Kyle Larson, best driver in the world, at least best NASCAR driver in the world. We cannot debate beyond that. He used to be great at Atlanta too before the repaving. I still think it has high as 16-1. I'm going to take a shot with him there. And the other guy, I think I've bet him in Atlanta a bunch. He hasn't quite gotten through, but I know he's been right there. Chase Elliott, I think the best odds I've seen are 15-1. So I'm going with Elliott, Larson, and Chevrolet later this weekend at Atlanta. The other sport we always like to handicap here, golf. Usually I feel like I have more majors I've given out on the show at this point of the year. Not the case so far. We do have Tommy Fleetwood to win the Masters. I think I gave it out at 50-1 here. I could only bet 40-1. He's still in good form, still playing well, not quite the scorching hot pace we saw him at the end of last year, but I think he sets up decently. However, I probably will be adding someone else after this week because the PGA Tour makes its annual stop at Riviera, which actually has the strongest correlation of any course on the PGA Tour to Augusta National. I really want to see how some guys do here. Honestly, I think it's going to be tough to beat Scotty Scheffler. I couldn't quite get to the window when he's like 3-1, but we've seen what he does at Augusta. We've seen what he does on courses like this. He is so hard to beat right now. Almost won at Pebble Beach on Sunday. Had an amazing 3 eagles on Sunday to get another top 5. Maybe you look at him top 5 in the -120 range. I think Scheffler will be tough to beat. Maybe if he's lagging behind and you watch this, you can get better than 3-1. Maybe you fire on that. I only ended up betting one guy to win outright here. That was Colin Morikawa, who won last week at Pebble Beach, but I think he's not getting enough respect. He comes back right away at 35-1 to win this event. I don't think he's going to win. It's tough to go back-to-back, as we know, but I saw him as low as 20-1 this week. I think it's much more fair. Anything above 25-1, I think Colin Morikawa is a fire, so that's what I did. I took Colin Morikawa, if you want to maybe jump in live with him at the Riviera. And the guys I'll really be watching to see how I want to approach them at Augusta, it starts with Xander Schauffele to me. Xander's always a guy I looked at that was going to win the Masters eventually. Hasn't quite gotten there, and he hasn't been on great form since we've restarted this year. He did win at the Bay Current late last year. I want to see, maybe hopefully he doesn't even necessarily win. Hopefully he just shows that it's rounding into form. He has a good outing, shows some things that I think can translate to Augusta. I'd really be watching this week to see, inform some of those decisions you want to make at Augusta. So there's my thoughts on some sports going on this weekend. Thanks as always for catching the Vegas Heaters. Let's see what the rest of the starting lineup has to say.
Well, it's another segment of Kipperspective with a bonus here for everybody. We're in the Fanatical Podcast studio today. Kip Keefer with the Legends. So welcome to the legendary Kip Perspective segment. Looking forward to talking sports with the legend here for a few moments as we continue on this edition of this week's program. Legend, here the Fanatical Podcast. Give folks the details. Usually it's J.K. Bama Hater sitting in this seat, but tell folks how they can access the Fanatical Podcast, which has off to a phenomenal start.
You can go to YouTube and type in Fanatical Podcast in the search bar, and you also can go to all podcast places online, and you can type in Fanatical Podcast and go straight to the site, Kip.
And you guys love feedback. You love comments and likes and all those kind of things.
It gets fanatical.
Follows. So get on board, folks. The Fanatical's great. You've got the ultimate Alabama fan and JK, the ultimate Alabama hater. What could be? It's a match made in heaven.
It gets crazy.
Let's talk about, as far as being crazy, Legend and I have some big plans here. We're shipping out pretty much after the show and heading to Florida for spring training baseball. I'm really excited. You've said you've never been down there for spring training. You are a huge Baltimore Orioles fans. We're going to see the Orioles back-to-back days, once in Lakeland, Florida against the Detroit Tigers, and then my favorite team comes to visit your Orioles on Monday. We're going to see the Braves and the Orioles in Sarasota at Ed Miller Stadium, the training camp home. Let's talk about baseball this year. What do you think about your O's?
Well, I've seen the power rankings, and I'm really excited. We picked up the polar bear, Pete Alonso from the Mets. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman got Taylor Ward from the Angels, a 30 home run guy last year. Man, I'm looking for a massive year. The power rankings have the Braves 8th and the Orioles 10th in the preseason. Look like a big year to me, Kipper.
Well, you'll love the spring training atmosphere. It's these really nice ballparks now, but it's all kind of compact. So for the Braves and the Orioles, folks, if you see highlights or can watch the game somewhere, look right behind the plate, because the Legend and I are going top cabin. We are like Bob Uecker. We must be in the front row, and we are right behind the plate.
Man, we're doing it big at Keeper Sports this year. We're going to be in the front row at many events. Just look for the hat, baby, and you'll know we're there.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about our other broadcast endeavor, because we want people to tune in every Saturday morning for Game Time on Jocks 94.5. That show has absolutely blown up.
From 8 to 10 every Saturday morning on Jocks, tune in 94.5 in Birmingham. You will hear great fine bomb callers and other great callers from around the country on one of the greatest weekend sports shows in America right now, Game Time with Kip Keefer, the First Lady, and myself.
And we got to give a special shout out today here on the starting lineup. Our First Lady, Terry Quillian.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to Terry today. We wish you were here so we could celebrate with you, but she's such a big part of our show, and we love giving her these greetings today. We are getting right to the end of the segment. We've got Tony and Jeff Speegle coming up next with their thoughts on the sports weekend. We are going to be waving at you on our way down to Florida. Remember the old Jimmy Buffett song? I went out to get a pack of cigarettes. Next thing I knew, I was on I-75 headed to Florida. That's where we're going, Legend.
Kip Keeper Sports doing it big. Spring training, baby. Here we come.
All right.
Welcome back to the starting lineup. Jeff Speegle is joining us here for the last segment. Don't forget our great sponsors, Sasquatch Toys and Comics. They have over 300,000 comics down there in Homewood. Seth and his entire crew do a bang-up job. Any type of toy you're looking for, obviously around the holidays, they were slamming. But they got stuff, Legos, Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars stuff from the 70s, not even open in the box. All kinds of wonderful cards as well. Over 300,000 comics, the big-time stuff. Check out Sasquatch Toys and Comics. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Stuart Rome. You've seen him on the show many times. He'll be joining us a little bit later on. Had a stellar Valentine's Day at the Woodhouse Day Spa. He's doing fantastic work. And of course, our little site, it is called K4 Wins. K4 Wins. Go to our site, K4 Wins, and get all your plays for today. Of course, on any given Saturday Speaks, we got like 50, 60, 70,000 basketball games. There's women basketball games going on. We had Olympics this past week. We got Major League Baseball coming up. And, of course, college football right on the outside. K4wins.com. 4wins.com. We talked
Did
earlier.
you do Legos when you were a kid?
I did. You know what? I did Legos, but we didn't have. All I had was the bricks.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "That's all you get with the bricks, the poor man's Legos." But I had a box of them. I wish I knew where they're at. and I would just build abstract art.
Right.
Like stairs until it broke. But as far as in buildings and faces and stuff like that, no, Legos have gotten crazy.
Yeah.
I saw on Pawn Stars the other night a Lego that went for $127,000. One Lego.
Yeah, Ty Simpson. You know, he's big into Legos.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know he is. No, it's a great. Now I'm kind of into these monster Legos. Mm-hmm. They got these Legos now where I think someone out in Phoenix, they're actually building a Lego home out of real Legos.
Ooh.
Like the Legos are like actual sizes. We may have something there for
with
small
insulation and stuff.
Yeah, we may have an idea there. So answer me this. Mm-hmm. We were talking about the NIL and transfer portals and everything else. And by the way, I think the transfer portal is fine. I think that's great. I do think they need to step it back. You can transfer once and play immediately, not again and again and again and again and again. How far down do you think the money trickles down? It's already in college. Mm-hmm. Forget about the $500 handshake. Now we can do it openly. High school's next.
Oh, no, please, no.
Well, it's got what we got hoops going. It's got to, right?
Yeah. Well,
we already have parents divorcing or moving into different parts of town so their kid can go to a particular school. We know that works.
Sure.
Sure. Tell me the money's next.
Oh, yeah, probably so. And that would be, that would just ruin it for me. I mean, because high school sports is really the only genuine thing, we have left that has not been totally infected.
And see, that's the part I loved about
stuff.
College, the innocence. Mm-hmm. Listen, I know players have been getting paid for years. I get that. But that innocent value, the fact that they were supposed to be going to college for school first and the student was first, athlete second. I always took umbrage in that, call me, naive, whatever. I always loved that loyalty towards our schools there. And now that's just out the window. It just doesn't matter anymore.
Well, someone asked me the other day, give me a high school football game to go to on a Friday. Mm-hmm. Tell me a place to go to where I can see some good high school football. And I said, well, Thompson's really good. Hoover's really good. She said, no, I'm not talking about those guys that are like D1 prospects and, the NIL guys of the future, maybe. I said, well, you need to go to Piedmont. You need to go to Piedmont. They're right outside of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And the kids are just playing it indeed for the love of the game. Biggest prospect they had last year was a receiver by the name of Raleigh Pinto, committed to Jack State. Now, all his life, he wanted to go to Jack State. And so he's living the dream, man. Yeah. And so I said, that's where you need to go. Because they, you know what their field is called?
What's that?
The Field of Champions. Oh, they've won a ton of championships there, the Piedmont Bulldogs.
It's not being sold. Yeah. Well, I mean, what do we expect when we start seeing Little League World Series on ESPN in primetime? I mean, it's just I remember when they used to scroll some of the high school scores on the bottom, and it bothered me. Because I'm like, what do we got high school scores in the bottom of ESPN for? And now, I mean, forget about it. I mean, if it's going to bring numbers, it's going to bring your numbers. It's going to go. Mm-hmm. What's going on at ABC 3340? How long have you been here?
30 years. This is my 30th year in Birmingham.
I made it 30 years in terrestrial radio until I went off and did my own thing. And now I'm doing television with you. So go figure.
I know. Before that, I was in Huntsville for 5 years. Then I worked in Knoxville, Tennessee for a couple of years. And that was an experience being in Big Orange country.
That was where our flagship station was when I first got here with the Dick family. They owned radio stations up in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so then we owned the rights to Alabama here. And so we never knew who to root for because we'd go back and forth every single year. That's when Alabama had the best of Tennessee like they do right now. So.
But it's been a wonderful thing. I'm a charter member here. Yeah. We signed on September 1st, 1996. Mm-hmm. There aren't many of us left that are charter members. But it's been a wonderful experience, and I've just loved every minute of it.
God bless you, and do another 30 years, all right?
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool.
All right, as you can see, Case Keefer is always out there in Las Vegas doing his thing. The Legend's doing his thing as well. And Kip, of course, doing a little traveling, watching a little preseason baseball in the Grapefruit League. Having a fantastic time. We greatly appreciate everyone here and the entire crew, including, of course, Jeremy behind the camera here, and of course Monty Ballard doing some fantastic work for us. Speaks, thanks again for joining us here on the show. We'll do it again next Saturday morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock, right here on the Starting Lineup.